Welcome back to the pod! This is our conclusion episode! Enjoy! Woo!
Hello, and welcome back to the pod. This is Lilia.
And Kira.
And Lola.
And Janan.
And today is our final ever podcast.
Woo! Oh no!
I know that all of our fans listening right now are really upset about, this coming to an end.
But you two are canceled.
It's been a
They
journey.
canceled us.
Thank you for subscribing.
Yeah, thank you for following us as well.
On our journey.
New
becoming
content
podcasters.
coming soon.
I'm not
Maybe
so
not.
sure
In the
about
future,
that.
hopefully.
So, today in our conclusion episode, we're going to be discussing what do all of these MTPs really look like in the classroom? So, do you guys have any thoughts? Any initial thoughts?
I think that the biggest one I feel like that I use is probably make connections to representations and purposeful questions.
Ooh.
Those two are the ones that I really, really, really picked up from this semester. Like, those two are the ones that really stuck out to me and, really, I don't know, I feel like those are the ones that I can implement in my teaching, a lot easier.
For me, I think that the first one was safe learning environment. For me, I tried to be including all the diverse needs just because I'm a person who has different cultures, and I think I can sit in a student's place and understand what they're going through. So I try to do that, and I try to make it as comfortable as I can, and I make sure that I'm very positive and make sure that it's fun, that students get to see, I know that teachers can't always be a friend, but I try to make them feel super comfortable and always use positive reinforcement, saying good job and all these stuff. And another thing would be hands-on creative activities, just because I know I've been learning a lot about how important that is, and I've tried to implement all of those things inside my lesson, and I've always worked out really well, and I've learned how manipulatives are really important. So yeah, I think those two things I've been doing a lot in my classroom and would want to do in the future.
And MTP, I think that I've been really reflecting, and I think we can all agree, because this is something that's been very prevalent in our careers as education majors, is establishing math goals to drive instructional decisions. Lily is currently making a face at me. That's the one she wanted to say. We could definitely break that one up to both of us.
Yeah.
But this whole, ever since Dr. McKenna's Intro to Modern Disabilities class, we've been learning about SMART goals, which, all those letters do stand for something. And those goals are... No, they're specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and timely.
Time-bound.
Yay!
Yeah.
So, that, and, putting goals into place for our lessons that, impact what activities that we're going to be including, because that's so important. Because if your activity has nothing to do with your goals, or your goals are not shown in your activities, then what's the point of the lesson? Is all I'm saying. What would you like to add, Miss Lilia?
What I really wanted to add to the attainable goals is that I feel like I learned a lot about that this semester, and I really tried to apply it, especially in our lesson plans when we would make our objectives, and then tie our objectives to the lesson, the activities that the kids were doing. Bless you.
You made me lose my sneeze!
And I feel like a lot of that, I feel like I've been really trying to work on that this semester, and it's helped me a lot, and I feel like it kind of, obviously it helps the students too, so.
Very insightful.
An MTP that I've been learning about and tried to use a lot was the facilitate meaningful mathematical discourse.
Oh, yeah, that one's
That's a
really
hard
big
one.
It
Yeah.
is, but it's really important, because without communication and having a good, stable relationship, you're not going to get anywhere in the learning process. Your students are not going to succeed whatsoever. I mean,
Yeah.
100%.
if students don't like you, do you really think they're going to thrive a lot?
Yeah,
No, they're probably going to give you
exactly.
attitude and not try hard enough. And I think that you also want students to have discussions, and that's how a teacher also realizes, okay, this student does not understand anything, or that this student is really good because they're leading the discussion. You know exactly who's participating and who's not, who needs more help and who doesn't.
Right. Students learn from you learn from students, and students learn from each other. So
Exactly.
having and facilitating discussions and discourse and even participating in them as an educator, you're gonna see things from a perspective that you might not know, and also it's going to help you elicit and use evidence of student thinking, because in those discussions, students are going to be showing you their thought processes.
Right.
And I think we talked about this. I don't remember if we talked about it specifically in an episode or like when talking about doing an episode, but like. I lost what I was going to say.
Going on from what you were saying,
yeah.
I also think that's important because, like, as a teacher, we're always just, I think, not just as teachers, but or staff or whatever, but like in the system, it's always about us, like, letting students explain to us about their answers, where they got their answers from, or what strategies they use. But it's important for us to also show students that, hey, we're also learning. We also know what we're doing, and this is how we got to our answer, and this is the way that teachers also need, like, when they explain or teach, they also need some sort of evidence, like videos and stuff. So students understand, okay, I understand that teacher is correct.
I do remember what I was going to say now.
Okay.
Thank you, Jadan, for taking the stage for that brief moment of lapse. But when students show you their thinking through these discussions, they're going to help you fuel what you do next and, like, figure out, like, how you can take what they're saying and, like, be like, wait, that's actually a really great idea because of X, Y, Z, and, like, we're actually going to be doing X, Y, Z in 5 minutes. I wish I had an example of what X, Y, or Z was, but, you know.
Yeah.
No, another big one that I think we've talked a lot in, like, all of our podcast episodes and season 1 would be to support
productive struggle. Make a comeback.
Yep, I believe that this one is very important because you need to find that, like, happy, what is it? Like,
The happy medium. The Goldilocks zone.
The
Goldilocks
Goldilocks
zone.
zone, the zone of proximal
Development.
development for all of your students. And I feel like this is also kind of a tough one, but I feel like it's one that we've focused a lot on in class.
And even engaged in productive struggle
Exactly.
ourselves.
Yeah. So I feel like it's one that we kind of understand, like, what it feels like to be in the student kind of perspective of that, and then we're just trying, like, our best to implement that into our own lesson plans. I've been trying to do it, but I feel like it's kind of it's definitely a harder one for me to kind of do well with.
It takes a lot of self-control to not, like, to see your students, like, kind of struggling and, like, kind of getting there without having to add in those, like, maybe you should look at this. Like,
Yeah.
If you're like a first-year teacher, it's
Yeah.
very difficult.
Because you're like,
to
oh my gosh, like, these kids are struggling and they're 7 and I'm an adult and I'm watching the
Yeah.
struggle, like, how, but they're, like, almost there. And you think, like, is it going to be better to give them something to guide them, or can they do this on their own in the next, like, 5 minutes?
Yeah, I feel like this is definitely one where it's I feel like it would be easier to implement when you're, like, a full-time teacher and you know the
100%,
kids and you know what works.
You know their limits.
Like,
Yeah.
you've already had experience, you know what you're looking for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I also really like how we all have a different, like, variety of grades that we worked in for the pre-prac. Except for me and Lilia, we had Lilia we had the same. We had kindergarten, but it's really cool.
Third.
Oh, so you're okay.
yeah.
But no,
It was cool
that
to
is a good
see.
variety.
Yeah, like, I
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
seeing how different, like, we all had to, like, implement
Yeah.
the MTPs throughout our lessons for, like, each grade. Like, third grade is so much different than kindergarten. The way that we facilitate mathematical discourse is different with kindergarten and like third graders, like, all that.
Yeah.
It's really
I agree.
interesting.
I think all these MTPs are just, like, very helpful because it's mostly like a guide for us to understand, like, what's
Yes,
important
like,
and
really
what
a
we're-
guide.
how
Yeah.
we're supposed to be teaching certain, like, how we're
Yeah.
supposed to be teaching math in general.
And I also feel like it's not something that we've really touched on in other courses.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
don't know, I find it easy to digest the way we all, like, we did them in class and we went through them with the charts and stuff, and it was easy to kind of implement them into our lesson plans when we had to, just by, like, looking at that chart, because we had already done the work.
And
We
all
are-
of Miss
and-
Brooks, like, examples
Yeah.
too. Like,
You're, like,
Miss Brooks
seeing
was
an
great.
actual lesson like that. Because I feel like when we're in an observation, like, it's difficult to, like, kind of know what you're looking for. And going back to what Lilia was saying, like, we don't have a structure like that in really any of our other classes. Like, you're just kind of like, oh, what am I supposed to be doing? But with the MTPs, it gives you a good idea of, like, this is what I should be doing. Like, this is how I should be teaching, and so they're a really great guiding principle for our time in practicum next year.
Yes.
Yeah. Very exciting.
I'd like to thank you, Dr. King, for sticking with us and listening to our silly little ramblings for the whole semester.
Yes.
I would love to thank my guild members. You guys are amazing, and it's been fun, and it's been real.
Thank you.
It really has.
It has been a semester.
It really has.
Super.
Yes. Thank you.
Until next
Have a great
semester.
summer.
Bye, Dr. King.